I really hope to become more involved in Judaism than I am now and to know more about it. And even if I have to put my art aside.
Sometimes you might think that my Judaism is merely a name, and sometimes I might think my Judaism is merely a name, but it's basically the way I handle myself, the way I believe, what I believe, not necessarily religiously, but morally.
Right now, I don't really believe in God. Even though I know my friends that have gone down to Israel in programs and have then come back, they've all told me that they were definitely more religious afterwards, but I won't be.
I thought it sounded like a very interesting program, something fun to do.
The contact with other Israeli artists and Israeli teenagers, because that seemed a lot different from the touring programs.
This is the best kind of trip to go on at this point in my life because I'm interested in the arts.
Because it involves arts and Judaism and Israel.
One of the things that this program is about is not how to become religious. One of the things that this program is about is, what does it mean that I was born in this mysterious way as a Jew? And that somewhere along the line you'll have to ask yourself a question, or we would like you to ask the question, how does being Jewish connected to my creative abilities? And we think that Israel is a great place to think about that question.
A journey is time between two places that's waiting, I guess. It's waiting.
I think a journey has a purpose. It's not like wandering. There's a reason why you go. And there's something you want to find.
תשמע כל תחנוננו כי יש שמי תפילה תחנונים ואתה ברוך אתה אדוני שומע תפילה. אדמה
When I saw the itinerary, I looked at it and I said, what is going on? Why would we want to go to the desert? There's nothing there. Who wants to go to the desert, let alone for 10 days or whatever?
It was a magnificent idea to begin an intensive experience in Israel with almost 2 weeks in the desert, to meet Israel, the country, the same way that our ancestors did.
You see all of it standing there completely open to you, that it's so overwhelming and that it's so easy to get inside of it and become part of it in a way. As far as I see, this place is physically incredible. It was like a Disney backdrop or something. I'm serious, I looked at it and I said, this is painted.
This time they were going to come to the land of Israel. They were going to settle it, and they were going to make it a moral place to live in. It seems to be to me that there's something wrong in the foundation of what Cain's doing with with his fruits and with his agriculture that causes the problem. It's much better not to be a farmer, not to have your own land, and to live the life of a shepherd.
That's absurd. You can't think like, well, water is the root to all evil, and agriculture is the root to all evil, so let's just keep the way it is and just live on it there. Like,
Live on what? I didn't say to die. Maybe the alternative is to live like a shepherd, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did, like Moses did. But maybe by and large, that is the lifestyle that the Torah really wants from us. And maybe that lifestyle is going to be righteous and just. Me, this is real. I'm not taking you to a museum. It's a real people with real family, and if you hear some of the stories about the life, it's like a soap opera. There are people who are struggling also with the change from the ancient traditions over to the world of the modern. The coffee tradition is generations old. So the original idea actually comes from Yemen. People have all kinds of opinions about what Bedouin customs are, but when you come into the tribe, you can find out what they really are about. And remember, there's a lot of things which are very similar to the way that our ancestors lived, and things that haven't completely changed over the course of time.
What you keep on saying is you're looking for a lifestyle that breeds the most insecurity possible. So then by being totally insecure and quite a bit neurotic, then you're looking for something that you can depend on, something to look for, something that, will give you answers.
You're a terrific advocate of the 20th century, and as if we've now, within the 20th century, reached pillars and achievements of morality that's so admirable that we've made it. The whole event.
A lot of times when other people were saying, "Oh, what a boring lecture," or Chaim is trying to brainwash us, I really liked it. But I mean, that's because I'm a strange person. That's not because the lectures weren't boring.
Maybe that's one of the messages the Torah is teaching, to knock it into our heads that we aren't totally independent and that we can't control all of life. And the way the shepherd takes care of the animals, the concern that he shows, maybe there's something that's a bit more wholesome in that. Maybe it is.
They say that I have no chance to accept the Torah unless I myself become a desert. This rock, yes, has something in it, yeah, that make it worthy to accept the Torah. Me not, I am not. But this rock, yes, or this plant, yeah. I want you to understand, this is not a plant in the desert. This is not a rock in the desert, yeah. This is not sand in the desert. This is the desert itself. This is the desert. This is the desert.
More and more you might get the feeling of the desert landscape as sculpture. We are going to unroll two ropes defining the edges, and from both sides, in a free way, stone the rope, and then you will see some kind of parallel lines. And these lines create a runway of consciousness right there into the vastness, if you like.
The two of them symbolize to me two people who react to this very same terrain over here, and each one went in completely opposite direction. Havroni went in his direction, that this proved to him that there must be God. And Orion went in the opposite direction, that it proved to him that there could not possibly be God. The capacity of the same terrain to evoke two such totally radical approaches to life and to religion absolutely fascinates me.
What you call God to me is man's idea. Man created, man composed. And man is a great composer. You can ask me whether I believe in the Ninth Symphony.
If it's an idea that's sprung up from man's mind, then I have nothing to do with it. I mean, I won't worship it. I won't pray to it. I won't ask from it anything. I mean, if I worship the idea who sprang up from a man, even if he is a genius, then I worship a man.
If anyone is able to create, is man. Is man. Miserable and a creator. The frustrated, doomed genius. This is us.
Okay. Shut up. What's the opposite of positive in Israel?
I don't know. What is the opposite of positive in Israel?
Negative.
I think that Israel and the landscape of Israel did affect their artwork. It is not that somebody is hiking in the Negev and then he sits above the Machtesh Ramon and paints the mountains. I think that's too simple. It's too one-to-one relationship. I think that what we were looking for is something much deeper. Being an artist means also to seek your roots, to be in connection with your identity, with your Jewish and Israeli identity. Maybe it is not just the Jewish connection, but also the human connection. Being an artist means being a human being.
Whenever we're exposed to individuals, whenever you two meet and let's say you talk to each other, you're exposing yourselves to what could be a desert, to what could end up being beautiful or could end up being ugly.
In the beginning of the program, I came in partly with a bad attitude, which was that these people are these people, and if they're not my kind of people, then they'll still be those people. No problem. And then I realized that who they are is very much my people.
The desert opened me up a lot. The desert changed me. And I felt how secure I felt with nothing but desert there, and no one can hear me, and no one's looking at me.
I'm not sure if it's absolutely necessary always to live here in order to take its message. Remember, Sinai was a great and powerful revelation, but there's no plan in the Torah of the Jewish people living out their existence at the foot of the mountain at Sinai. You might think that you leave it, but you don't really leave it.
When we were coming to the Galil, I fell asleep like on the way when we were still in the Negev. So I didn't really see the scenery changing. I just like woke up in this whole green place, and I thought it was really beautiful how it was like such a change in scenery.
In the Galil, I had a lot of trouble, it seems to me, first getting to know the place because, well, it had plants all over it. There's all this grass growing in these trees, and it wasn't as willing to give itself.
Yuval is a kibbutz now 4.5 years old. It was started in January of 1981. Because we're a young society, we could allow ourselves to begin with all sorts of freedoms that were just built on the fact that there was a group of people that wanted to live together and that were willing to work towards common goals. So for instance, everyone knows in kibbutz you have no private money. Everyone gets a budget every month of about $21.
Don't you think your life would reach like a plateau? Working 8 hours a day, having your free time, having your $21, life would just be the same. I mean, life would never go anywhere. They all believe in the same thing so strongly that it might as well be their God.
I think it's really special. I really wish that I could be able to be so, I mean, what's the opposite of selfish? I don't know, like so totally giving of everything like they are and be willing to sacrifice everything that's just done for me and give it to a common goal.
I don't think I could live in the same ideals that they have of public, communal this, communal that.
If you were to speculate, would you think it's like good or what?
I think I'm too attached to my own belongings and stuff and possessions. I don't think I could live in a kibbutz the way it sounds.
We Jews are very able to open all the revolutions in the world. The only thing we don't know is how to continue it. How to continue the revolution. And because of that, we have to stay in one place to dedicate 50 years of our lives to have our grandsons and granddaughters in the same place. This decision is the decision that created the kibbutz movement. The whole kibbutz movement started here 70, 80 years ago. So you are the pioneer of the tourists. So can you put yourself here in 2 rows here, one in front of the other. I decided to present each other of your group with the Israeli group just in the place where the kibbutz started. I think it's the best place to do it. To paint something that is of you, but please use as many colors as possible. But in order to use it, you have to ask somebody to help you.
It's very important to Israeli to meet American kids, and it's a lot of prejudice about what is American kids and what is Israeli kids. And it's very good to see that we are all human. We create quite a good relationship in a very short time.
That was such a positive thing for the trip because it exposed me to a whole different lifestyle that is basically very radically different than my own.
We came here to look into the community life. and living on kibbutzim. So the workshops, we share everything.
We all have to make marionettes, and I'm going to make a cloth head because I want to make it like a doll for my little 7-year-old sister who I miss.
We were supposed to only make like one for 2 people, but we all wanted to make our own, so we're going to try to finish. I don't know if we will, but I hope so.
And one day, Miriam, the group will tell your son, climb that mountain and stand guard there. Will you have the strength to go on living here in the group if he doesn't come back? Knowing that the group never really opened itself to him or you? Really, you're putting the
It's about 7 people who have to go down to Mansourian by the orders of the agricultural department.
We're Arabs down there and tenant farmers, but we're going to be the first Zionists.
What is Zionism? And what are we doing there? And why are we coming here at all?
In any case, what are relationships? How much can one get out of them?
And they each open up during the play and expose themselves.
So far as I can, because I care about you.
I think that people have opportunity to live intimately and they don't use it, and I think they are wrong.
You really think it's possible to go for a year, 6 months, a month, I don't know, whatever you're talking about in terms of a short period of time, or do you think that it's necessary that you go and live there?
It's like being in love. You can't be in love professionally. You need to be in love as an attack, as something that you do for a short while. Then you have to transform these kind of feelings into something more regular, something that you can create out of it. It's like art and inspiration. You need inspiration, but you have to work.
If we're checkmated, the entire Zionist enterprise will collapse.
Our group must not leave the mountain before we begin to understand ourselves!
While he's talking, you find it the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I want you to show it. It's a joke.
Children!
In order to get something out of the summer and get something out of get something out of your own art, you also have to give to the group.
I'm not going to Mansourian tomorrow.
You have no right to do this to us.
Yes.
You're destroying our group.
Is there more cement made? I feel somewhat like a slave.
A slave to what?
Well, since there's no Egyptian taskmaster, we'll have to stick to creativity. This is incredibly boring.
In our workshop, something happened when they demand that they want to take the puppets home.
So we each started to work on our own individual separate puppet, and it was too much individual, wasn't enough group.
This unit is to learn how to work in a kibbutz, in a group, kibbutzah, and we weren't doing that.
We stopped the work and we sat down and discussed all the meaning of the work together.
We had a discussion on the fact that we had to change what we were doing, and maybe the decision that we made was to bring all the pieces that everyone had been working on together and finish up that section together. Now, not everyone was so happy about that, so I think what was really good is that we started working on the masks the next day instead of going right back to the marionettes, which was like really tense still.
When we did the masks in the morning, I was sure they won't do it.
You have to work with another person or else you can't do it because someone has to plaster your face. And you have to be nice to the person or they can kill you because they don't have to give you a nose breath.
You were like surrounded by blackness, like you were in the middle of the universe or something. And you couldn't open your eyes and you couldn't move anything. So it just felt like someone just put you there on hold. I can't look, my eyes burn.
We tear ourselves from our beds at 5:30.
Everybody should hear it.
With cut hands and aching bodies. But the lady complains of mysterious headaches or fatigue. Who do you think you are? למה שאניח לה? במזרונה הקש ב5.5 200 פצועות וגוף כואב. אז לגברת יש איזה כאב ראש מסתורי. איזה חולשות מסתוריות. מה את חושבת לך?
You're irresponsible. Do you think you're living in a doll's house?
או מה?
I need all the other guys.
I can't do it, Avi. I can't do it to both of them.
What are you doing about the problem of taking the puppets home?
There is no problem. I'm taking my puppet home.
Oh, she just decided she's going to let you take it?
Yeah, the first day she says you can have it, so there's no problem.
I mean, she convinced me that all of them have to bring something home to prove that they have done something here. So I didn't care if she'll take the puppet. That's why I suggested to her.
I love this. I love this. It's so real, you know?
Just to express yourself, this is the easy thing to do. The deep thing to do is to know what is the existential price for your expression.
When you're a kibbutz member, because of the lack of privacy, you are developing a double image. The hypocrisy in the kibbutz is very common.
I believe that the only possibility for intimacy is individualism.
It's not necessarily a kibbutz that will make it that way. It's the individuals that are willing to open up.
Now, I don't want to close it to a kibbutz situation. I think that you can experience such a thing outside the kibbutz too.
In order to be an artist, you have to be separated from your area, from the environment that you're working in, because you have to be able to take yourself away and look, have an objective view of what's going on. How could you do this in a kibbutz? It seems like it's impossible.
There are many artists who decided, like you said, exactly, that in order to create they have to leave the kibbutz. But there are many who still create inside the kibbutz.
When you are doing things for people and for special purpose, you have to deal with this. You can't do just what you imagine. First, you have to know the area. You know, you have to know the people.
They met Dalia Meiri, who is a modern Israeli artist, and her artwork cannot be separated from the place she lives in. She's working on memorials in different kibbutzim, and it has to do with the soldiers who gave their life for Israel.
So it's written the name of the girl, and it's written what age she was killed and how, by bombing in the Independence Day, and of course the date.
It's very moving and it's very dignified. It is good art. She spends 8 hours every day in her studio working about her sculptures. And I think we really succeeded in conveying to them that being an artist really means working very, very hard.
When art is connected with life, connected with needs of people, and people see it every day, and they don't have to go to museum, they don't have to go to gallery for it, it's better.
You old blue stocking.
I think that I feel better about when I create something if I know that I'm going to share it with the group. Because first of all, I know that the group of people we have are people who I can trust.
You're a woman just as I am, not a man! I love you. Forgive me. I love you. I love you as myself.
Somewhere 100 years down the road, it's possible that that blob of semi-feminine form will still exist in this state. It made me feel melancholy in one sense, that I wasn't quite as timeless as it was, and yet very proud to say that I left my mark.
We are the marionettes. We watch these children. We watch them grow.
noise they're making. Each day in the Galim, Israelis and Americans together as one.
Nobody wanted, I made this head, and nobody wanted it. They thought it was so ugly. So I had to wear it by myself, and and that's it. So she's a loser, but what can I tell you?
In the kibbutz, each day I rake the piles of dung that fall to earth beneath the legs of the drowsing cows. Can you imagine if somebody wrote a poem like this? I raised up my voice in a hymn to thy praise. Now what's thy praise? What's his bracha? What's his blessing? Baruch atah Hashem, blessed art, Baruch atah, blessed art thou, for the good dung that succors for the small crust of bread in the fervor of prayer. Now what was he trying to do? He was trying to throw away Jewish history. He was trying to revolt and rebel and say, you goddamn Jews have not allowed the Jews to live with all your Judaism and religion and law. And what I'm in love with is life and the power of the smells and the power of the field, the earth, and everything that comes around. Now, this is a very big question that Muki Tzur asks me all the time. He says to me, look, your brand of Judaism failed, Berela from Hungary. Your brand of Judaism didn't work. You created a group of people that constantly looked up into the skies and looked up into the heavens and didn't realize that to live down here on earth, you have to take care of yourself and, most important, assume responsibility for your community life.
Now, we live in a Jewish people that is very sick. And I must tell it very frankly. We are living in one of the most terrible eras of the Jewish people. In order to take responsibility for the Jewish people, you have to build psychologically certain ways of living together. We know I think we know very frankly that we don't have many possibilities to succeed to save what we call today the Jewish people as it is.
He makes sure that I stay honest. And he makes sure that when I'm a religious Jew and I look at God, I don't look away from human beings. And he makes sure that when I go and study Torah, I don't walk away from warts on my fingers. And I don't walk away from the sweet smell of dung.
Gabby, Gesher Tzar Meod, Gesher Tzar Meod.
I honestly, I think it's a good idea to walk there because it's a psychological thing, you know. You walk there and then you see this oasis, and regardless of where it is, you're gonna like it. And they're trying to make us like Jerusalem.
My father, after the Holocaust, he was here, he used to walk outside. And whenever he saw a kid, he wanted to go and to kiss him and to hug him. And he did do it many times, but in the end he was afraid that people are going to think that he's a maniac, kissing kids everywhere, wherever he turned. Wherever he saw that buildings are built, he was so happy. He used to say, Rivka, come, see, they're building a new building. And sometimes these buildings were very ugly in my eyes, but he didn't care. As long as it was built up, he felt creation every moment he was here.
One time, the Christians conquered the land, Crusaders. Then comes the Muslims. Then comes the British. Were they just British? They were Christians. And then came the Jews, and then came the Jordanians, which are Muslims. Why in all the earth does all this have to happen here in Jerusalem? The space of all this action is a very, very small one. Something that is smaller than a 1 square mile. There are only Christians in the Christian quarter. There are only Armenians in the Armenian quarter. There are only Muslims in the Muslim quarter. There will be only Jews in the Jewish quarter. But it wasn't enough.
You need 1,000.
Not now.
You need 1,000.
Anybody want coke?
No.
1,000 shekel.
No,
We don't bother anybody here. We make our living.
Okay, over there. I want to talk to you.
Okay, translate. Give them explanation.
No,
if you want, I give them
No, I
instead
don't
of you explanation, full explanation. What's happened? The situation in Israel.
1967, once the Israeli troops came into the Old City, and the Old City has been declared as a part of the State of Israel. This was a kind of an opportunity for the first time to find out answers to the past of Jerusalem. What motivates people to dig to their past?
I feel that Jews are burying something which is very deep, very profound, and none of us knows what it is. Not even the greatest rabbis, not even Moses. Nobody knows what Jews are carrying within them. But still I feel that we are part of something. Because being Jewish is being part of something. It's like a big river with a stream which carries, you know, and you are like a leaf in this stream. But if you let yourself feel the stream underneath you, it's great.
I think what was important with Shaul Schatz that he couldn't have done the same art in a different place.
And the fact that he changed from being a secular Jew to a religious Jew, and it didn't affect his artwork. It was modest, but it was really beautiful.
I've asked a lot of people, especially religious people, and they seem to think that becoming religious and accepting, following the halakha and stuff, makes them feel that they've found themselves and they're more secure with themselves. And I'm wondering if you felt that you found yourself through your art, or through becoming more religious, or becoming more religious has helped yourself find yourself through your art.
Find myself, it means that you have no choice. I mean, you are a Jew, and you can't choose to be a goy, even if you want, even if you a goy. You can't choose. Even if you go and be a Christian, go pray there in there, you can't choose. You can't change it. It's something that you can't change it. So it's not finding yourself. You are.
Then there's no reason for other more observant Jews to become offended by non-observant Jews' ways of living, because there's no degree of being a better Jew or a worse Jew.
There is no worse or good Jew. As a Jew, you are doing good or bad things. That's all.
Since you're still a Jew, you're a Jew, and that's it.
Okay.
So why bother with the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch, the halakha, anything? If you're born a Jew, then you're a Jew. Then why bother?
But now you have to do something. Now you know what you are doing.
Really, it came out as a question, but I wasn't really asking what's good and what's bad. I was simply pointing out that what's good and what's bad doesn't exist according to what was said to me about there's no levels of being a Jew, and
There has to be levels of being a Jew, because then why would some people be like ultra-Orthodox if they didn't think that they were better Jews? I mean, so there has to be levels of being a Jew.
It doesn't have to be horizontal levels. I mean, it can be...
I'm not saying it's horizontal levels, but
But
people
it
wouldn't go through life being ultra-Orthodox if they didn't think that they were doing something to bring them closer to God.
And I went down and I stared, standing along the wall, thinking about what was going on in my brains and my mind and whatever else. And all of a sudden, I stopped myself and I realized I wasn't just thinking, I was praying. And that was the very first time I'd ever done it.
שמע כזאת
In Yerushalayim, I think there are two things that many of you have been feeling. It's an embrace and a wrestle at the same time. You embrace your past and you wrestle with your past at the same time. Trying to take the past and create with it and bring together all different kinds of traditions that have come into Israel. In a certain sense, that's the creative work of Shlomo and Miguel.
אבל לא חסה עלבון תחיית עמי אשר סיבה נוצץ מדמעך.
I come from a small town in Colorado, which is even farther west than most of America. And Shlomo comes from Morocco. Yeah, from west of Africa. We're very, very different. And the only thing that we had in common, aside from music, was being Jewish. Even though his prayers and my prayers sound very different, it was all the same foundation. And it developed into something that became original Israeli music, original Israeli Jewish music, which doesn't really fit into any category, which is why people have a tough time describing what we do.
אצלנו בכפר תותרה שבלב הרי האטלס היו לוקחים את הילד שהגיע לגיל 5.
For a man that he has Oriental classical culture, it's very hard to live here in Israel because all the instruments and in the radio, television, and if you look, it's like America. You don't feel that you are a Jew. The way of the West thinking is it's beat, but for us, it's spirit. It's vroom, vroom. And how the heart beat here, vroom, 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 vroom. And the time you run, your heart beat another. The time you feel love, or you feel sad, or you feel always your heart feel your feeling and do your feeling. Yes. And what we want to do in music, it's to take from the heart and to bring to the heart. Yes.
The desert is a physical landscape and also spiritual landscape. Desert is open, yes, far-seeing. Maybe this is the reason why we had the prophets in this desert and why in the desert we received the Torah, because far-seeing. And this is how it sings. I founded Imbal 35 years ago, and I feel that I am only in the beginning. Yes. Imbal vocabulary, Imbal style is unique in the world. Yes. Oh. But please do it more gracefully. Go! Don't watch only! It is not modern, it's not classic, it's not Arabic, it's not Yemenite, but it combined a concept of Israeli modern dance. You know, the belly dance, they dance this way and that way. Russians dance ho and with ho, they have lots of earth. And Africa dance ho, papa, they have lots. The Jews dance vertical, down, up, to God. Yopi, ha.
By the side.
When I'm moving my hand now, I'm not only moving my hand, but I feel that, I don't know if you'll understand me, that generations are moving their hand within me. Or when I'm talking, or when I'm moving my face, when I'm speaking and you are hearing my voice, you don't hear only my voice. You are hearing the voice of generations and generations and generations which vanished and disappeared totally, and the only place that remained is in my very existence, or in your existence. And when we are sitting here now, for instance, gathered around this table, in this very room, it isn't only us sitting here. I feel that when we sit here, in fact, all our grandfathers and their parents, since the first men on earth, are sitting here, gathered here. I'm sure, it's hard for me to put it in words, that if my grandmother in the guest chamber, 1 second before she died, knew that I am her grandchild, named after her, are going to live here in Jerusalem, in a Jewish state, her death would have been, I can say easier, but I will say much easier.
Something was destroyed, something very rich was destroyed in Europe in the night between 1940 and 1945. And one of the things that we are living in here in Israel and in the Jewish people today is like a desert generation. It's like the generation of the Jews who left Egypt before they arrived in Israel. 40 years in the desert. A time of transition, a time of new creations, a time of old things dying and new things being created. And who are the people that are creating? The people who you met during the past week. Who's going to decide what Jewish existence is going to be like for the next 2,000 years? What comes after Tisha B'Av, and what comes after the Holocaust, and what comes after these 6 weeks? And perhaps the most important question is, where do you fit in?
Like now, when we're focusing on our final project, I've had a lot of different ideas and sketches that I've been doing in different places, and when I've been looking at them, they're definitely Jewish art. I mean, you would be able to say that the person that did it was Jewish or the person that did it was in Israel. I finished high school and I am not in college yet, so where exactly am I? And now I'm faced with the question, I'm in America, but do I want to be there? And now I'm in Israel, do I want to be here? Where am I?
Before I came here, I thought, well, you know, I went to religious school, I had a bar mitzvah, I confirmed, I did it all. And then I came here and I was like, boy, I haven't done much.
I push on ravenously, hungry for your embrace. Foot after foot into your body I delve. Prior to this trip, had you told me to write a poem about Jerusalem, or Judaism, or anything, the cynic in me would have come out and laughed in your face and said, no thank you, I'll pass. I believe now in all that I had previously heard. For me, before the trip, I would have firmly stated that I was an atheist and had Jewish tendencies and hung around with Jews and called myself a Jew, but I didn't believe in God. And now I have to say I'm an agnostic.
Grass grows on these old passive hills like mold. I want to run with the wind that isn't here and not crash into trees. To run alone in you, my desert, my harsh desert. I love you even as you lash me with your strokes of heat and dry.
I've discovered I'm a poet. All these poems started coming out of me. I don't know how it happened.
Your bare and burning anger.
But it was neat.
And yet I am not happy, not relieved.
So now I've been writing all this poetry and I haven't got any pictures to take home to my parents.
If I keep you in my heart, my desert, will you help me learn to walk on grass again?
Well, I started a dance in the Negev unit, and it was basically based on the Negev, about how hot it is and how it brings out your most human characteristics, being in the desert. And then it changed completely. It became like my relationship with God. I've definitely decided that I want to become more religious.
I hope you can see me now. And I hope you can hear me. Because I'm here for you. I could have got other places to act, but I came to Israel. I want you to know that. He knew he was gonna die. My grandmother woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she knew he was dead, and she walked and paced downstairs for 2 hours because she didn't want to wake any of us up so early, she said. That's what she said. She didn't want to wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So she sat downstairs, trying to collect her dog with her dead husband upstairs.
I think I learned that there's a lot more to Judaism than I thought. I realized that at home I never even think about being Jewish.
It's so different here. I don't know if what attracts me here is the beauty or the religion or just the idea of being Jewish. I don't know what it is. Or if it's the art.
But one stays back, away from the pack, and makes excuses to the rest. What is he waiting for? For them to say, come touch us? Why should he touch them? When he can touch a sheep? Have you ever heard a crazy dog touch a sheep? It's all there, down there, recorded, moments. Here's a moment, and here's one. Here's a whole bunch. In the market, in the Arab alleyways where you can't go wrong with a dirt-faced Arab boy. As an artist, it's more of a giving. You learn here how to share your work. You still can't say it. I'll miss you.
When I see things like the Negev, and when I see Lake Kinneret, and when I see the Kotel, and when I see this sunrise behind me, I think there's got to be something behind all this.
And I know I want to come back and live here for a while, but not my whole life.
And hopefully in the future, I will make Aliyah so I can raise my family here, and and I'll have 8 kids.
I personally was very proud of the way we presented Israel to them. I felt like I'm rediscovering my homeland. Was it the place that made you feel things, or was it the people you were with in the place?
It wouldn't have been the same without the people. The people we met, and the kids in the group, and the adults in the group, and whomever we've come in contact with. What it says is that Israel is made up of a landscape that is filled with people.
חסדך לישראל, תתחד גדולה, גדל השואל, מגן אברהם שלחנה הגואל, וקראת שמו עמנואל, זכר חסדך לישראל, תתחד גדולה, גדל השואל, מגן אברהם שלחנה הגואל, וקראת שמו עמנואל, זכר חסדך לישראל, תתחד גדולה, גדל השואל, מגן אברהם שלחנה הגואל, וקראת שמו